Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland, and here I am at Runnymede in the United Kingdom. So this field is in the county of Surrey and it stands right beside the River Thames. I'll show you the River Thames. There it is, idling by. So Runnymede is best known for being the place where Magna Carta was signed in 1215. Note you should call it Magna Carta, not the Magna Carta, or Magna Carta Libertatum, to give its full name, as in the Great Charter of Liberties. So as a charter is a document conferring rights. I don't want to go too much into the background of it, but anyway, King John had been king since 1199, a very unpopular, unsuccessful king. Was he wicked, bad King John they call him, or was he just unable to cope? But the country was suffering economically after the Crusades. His brother had almost bankrupted the realm, going off to try and get back Jerusalem from the Mohammedans, failing, being kidnapped by Leopold, the Duke of Austria, a king's ransom being paid for his release. So King John has left to pick up the pieces, fighting and losing against France, losing Normandy and so on. So the big rebellion is financing the war and taxing people, double taxing people, making people pay to inherit their patrimony and so forth. So the barons had enough of them against him, and was fighting the Archbishop of Canterbury, Stephen Langton. He mediated a 10-day negotiation, and the signed near the River Thames, and the exact spot is known. We're quite close to Windsor Castle, and Runnymede had been a well-known meeting place for centuries. The Thames was a road more than a barrier. It's flat, it's easy to get to, so that you can see miles away because there weren't many trees cut back. I mean, there's a road bisects the meadow over there, but beyond that you'll see it's very flat for about another mile. Anyway, so that was signed. There were many witnesses. It was also written in Latin on calves vellum. The Archbishop of Dublin was amongst those who signed it. Does it apply to Ireland? That's debatable. But it's not what a lot of people crack it up to be. There's nothing about democracy. The word democratic democracy does not appear in there. It does not say there'll be a parliament or anything like that. And it only applies to a limited set of people, to free men. Well, who was free? Quite a small minority. Now the barons, as in the major landowners, they were free. There were some free farmers and merchants in towns with a borough, the boroughs with a charter, a borough being a town which has got certain rights. People outside the feudal system. Most people were serfs, as it lived in semi-servitude, had to do unpaid labour for the landlord, had to only mill their corn in his mill. He charged them over the odds, required permission to wed or enter holy orders. That could be refused unless, of course, they crossed the landlord's palm with some silver. People had to do corvée, unpaid labour on the roads, and things like that. So majority of people were not free, but even the serfs, as in the unfree peasants, they did get some rights out of this, though they were less extensive. So King John, he signed it with an X, and that led to the misapprehension amongst many that he was unable to write, when he most certainly was. And there are other documents written by him, and it's recorded he used to read and write, and there's no question about that. Well, the sun has put his hat on and he's coming out to play. So it's not the sort of cornerstone of liberty that some people think it is, and not much of it was novel. It was restating much of the law for a long time. Some of it had been contentious, because kings had often reigned by vis et voluntas, force and will, believing in the old tag, voluntas rex, lex suprema est. So the Magna Carta said various things like, we have granted to God by this present charter and have confirmed for us and our heirs in perpetuity that the English church shall be free. Of course, meaning the Catholic Church in England. Everybody who here was a Catholic apart from a tiny Jewish community. So that the king wouldn't try and strong-arm the church or make sure that his candidate got to be made a bishop or archbishop, things like that. The city of London shall enjoy its liberties and free customs both by land and by water, as in people and goods coming in and out. Wouldn't be prevented from coming in and out. There wouldn't be taxes on coming in and out. You could tax things coming in and out of the country, but not going in or out of London, unless it was from overseas. Because that was a good way for them to make money. Didn't have income tax as such, tax on goods, tax on imports and exports. So some people saying it's the birthplace of freedom. Is that over-egged? But most people were unfree. There wasn't chattel slavery in this country. The Normans had abolished that by this time. But the serfs not allowed to leave their home village without permission. They could walk around, they could walk for some miles, they weren't allowed to move away permanently. and if a landlord sold the land to someone else, the serfs went with the land, and whoever the new owner owned their services of them. Okay, or other things they said, like, we shall appoint justices, constables, sheriffs, and other officials, only men that know the law out of the realm and are minded to keep it well. So he couldn't appoint judges or sheriffs who were sort of law enforcement officers who were they're not going to abuse the law. And it established a vital principle that no one was above the law, and that included the king. The law applied to him. He couldn't break it and get away with it. A council of 25 barons was put up to superintend the king, to ensure that he upheld his side of the bargain. And it also enshrined in law that were the king to renege on his promises, people were entitled to rebel. To no one will we sell, and to no one will we deny right of justice. Sometimes saying, well, you shan't get a trial until you pay me, or I will make sure an unfair verdict is rendered. If you pay me, I will have you acquitted even though you're guilty, or indeed I'll have your enemy convicted even though I know who's innocent. Or in a civil suit, I'll make sure you'll win even though justice is not on your side, and on and on. Now, an enterprising Victorian fraudster in the 19th century, he purchased a section of the Thames by here, and then he had a channel dug, so cutting a little bit so the water would flow around, creating an artificial island. He put it about that Magna Carta was signed upon said island, and so then he charged people to walk over a little wooden bridge to that island. And I used to believe that for a long time, that it was signed on an island. It wasn't signed on an island. It's a 19th century myth. So it's cleared a little bit here. And then in 2015, the 800th anniversary, they unveiled the statue of Her Britannic Majesty, looking very youthful and slender. The Speaker of the House of Commons did that, amongst other people. So a regularly meeting Parliament for England only began in 1265. There was another baronial rebellion, Simon de Montfort. Another thing is, King John quickly repudiated it, claimed he'd signed it under duress, and these promises extracted under threat of violence held no validity, and the Pope gave him his fulsome backing on this one. Remember that the King John had a very bad falling out with the Catholic Church not long before. That's one of the things that precipitated the rebellion. An interdict on England, the church is closed, but he'd kissed and made up with the Pope. But he died the next year. Was he eating a surfeit of lamprey? Some people say he was all washed up in the wash with his treasure stuck in the mud. We'll go into that story, buried in Lincoln Cathedral. But his son, Henry III, inherited. He issued Magna Carta